Good Wednesday morning. I hope you're having a wonderful second day of October. Let me ask you, whose forecast do you believe? A lot of people get mad when the weather reporters get it wrong, but they predicted that there would be cool air and rain, and nature reminds us that we are in transition toward the fall and nature falling. In other words, dying. And even though there's so much greenery still, we're going to see so many of the leaves on the ground. And that's the same thing with life. I was just listening to an NPR, National Public Radio report, and there was a person who did a study and gathered all this information of retirees. And pretty much it was kind of bleak, but they were just talking about how so many were working into their 70s, some by choice. There was this Howard University librarian, and she conducted research. That was her dream, and she wanted to really delve into some history. But because now she's 74 years old and she's working part-time, she is seeing that her dream of writing a book probably will not be realized. So she's pouring all of her resources into the next generation, which might be the case, even though I believe that the Lord can show her how to manage her time and still have his will be done. But in retirement, in old age, whose forecast are you believing? In 2Kings7, it opens up saying, Elijah said, "Hear ye the word of the Lord." Listen. "Thus saith the Lord, tomorrow about this time shall a measure of fine flour," and they were talking about will be sold for 4 shekel or a half an ounce, and 2 measures of barley for the same. So there was a forecast. And at the end of the chapter, it took place that those were the values that were placed on those goods. So what I'm asking is, with so many prognosticators saying, oh, doom and gloom, whose report will you believe? Well, in Psalms 91, this is why I believe that we can rejoice every day that the Lord lets us see the age of whatever we are. Shout it out. If you're in your 80s, if you're in your 60s, the Lord gives you the grace to still work because you want to, or because maybe you're bored, or maybe you just need the extra cash. Verse 16, Psalms 91, and it's actually a verse from yesterday. It says, "With long life will I satisfy." I changed the pronoun, her. The Lord will satisfy his people, even into retirement. If you choose, oh my goodness, I have so many friends who are substitute teachers who are retired, but they still come back. My dad would do that. He retired, but he would still go into the high schools. I wouldn't say hood high schools, but the rough high schools, and they loved him because he wanted to connect with those teenagers and young people and give back. And he didn't have to, but he felt that type of calling and that pull. But guess what? Long life, the Lord satisfied him. Even though he transitioned in his 70s, the Lord showed him his salvation by renewing him, his strength and his vigor. And even if you can't get out any longer, know that you still can do the work of the Lord on your knees, right inside the house, advocating, interceding for these children or whoever, whatever. Maybe get on the computer and send out prayers, what have you. And also in chapter 92, because today is October 2nd, we read Psalms 2, 32, 62, 92, and 122. And it reminds us in verse 12, are we thinking about a famine or are we flourishing? Well, that's because we're righteous. We can think of the blessings of the Lord. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. We might not have some in Chicago, like California and what have you, but we still can be reminded that the Lord will flourish us. And he or she shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon, even in old age. Those that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall still bring forth fruit So substitute teachers. So 90-year-olds, keep on working. I had a dear friend, a friend of a friend, who was in her 90s, mid-90s, working for the state of Illinois. And she was a dancer and the most beautiful skin. And I would just love to see her. Oh my goodness. And just extract the wisdom. Well, look, she still brought forth fruit in old age, verse 14. They shall be fat and flourishing. Flourishing and fat means healthy. So God will do it. He wants our retirees to be active. Don't you be depressed. Shout upon the hills what the Lord will continually do. And that makes me think of Psalms 121. I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. Where is your help, retirees? Where is your help, senior citizens? Where is your help, young people? Your help coming from the Lord, which made heaven and earth, and he made us all. Hallelujah. Let us rejoice in the Lord, for he is our keeper and our shade upon our right hand, and we are refreshed and flourished every moment of our life. Have a wonderful Wednesday to the Lord, and bask in his blessings this month.